Well, okay, so here's what's gonna happen. We're gonna fight Walker, and between Mr. G, Nuria, and Kevin, a non-zero number of them will die permanently. I'm pretty sure one of us is gonna die, if not all of us. Probably not all of us, but at least one of us. Depending on the order of when we go down, we might all die, but at least one of us is gonna die.
Going into the finale. Well, actually, I'm not sure what to expect. See, we prepared really well ahead of time. I wasn't optimistic up until that point when we got all those supplies. However, now I think we can actually take the fight to Walker and win it.
I'm worried. I'm worried for the party, but at the same time, it's like I'm really excited. Oh, there's like really good story build up, and then like the fights, and I'm really excited, but I'm really nervous. Like there's so many things that could happen.
So expectations going into the finale here. I'm definitely expecting, as much as we joke around and go 3-round Walker, I'm definitely expecting a tough battle, but something of just like epic proportions, right? Walker's been built up this whole time, pretty much sitting in the background, building himself up for this moment. We already know we're going in pretty much prepared for a really big battle, a really tough one, but I'm hoping phase 1 Walker, and then we're like, yeah, we beat him, and then phase 2 comes up. Dark Souls screen. Everyone's freaking out.
My expectations, again, leading into this is just validation. It's crazy to like think about it is in like the ending of it. We're reaching the end time and we've been battling so hard through it. I do live for this. It's fun. It's something that keeps me motivated throughout the week to continue, but at the same time, like it's been a struggle for me just growing my family over the last couple of years as well. And like worst for me was not playing that little bit, and I regretted it. Like, oh, I needed to take a hiatus, but I wanted to keep playing, but I needed it at the same time. So like my fear is once it's done, it's like there's no coming back until we start doing some other stuff.
I would like to see an ending when everybody gets out alive. There's some sort of hope. My fear? Everyone dies?
The fear definitely is a TPK. I think everyone has that. I don't know, I don't think I'd be too upset if we TPK'd, because at the end, the bad guy won. But at the same time, it's,
I definitely don't want that ending, even though that would be an interesting one, because it's something that I would actually come to you about and would ask if there's a potential for a campaign if everybody else dies in a Walker-controlled world.
I've been notorious for throwing out theories. I just throw out theories to throw you guys off at this point, because I've learned in RP it's easier to like do it off the cuff than to like plan it out. What I see happening is we have to win. We have to. It has to happen. Who we're gonna lose, that's the hard part. Chauncey's story doesn't end here, but it could. It ends in retirement, chilling on his own thing, and Mr. G sniping him or something. But it's possible. You know, if I die, I die. But I don't want it to happen, but I'll accept it, you know, and yeah. I don't want to see any of the other players die because they may not. Like Lauren, I feel Lauren would be okay with dying.
Hopes and fears. Hope we don't die, but that's always an option. Man, me and Chauncey have been ready to die for like 25 episodes now, so...
It's like I'm okay with it, but it's because I've already thought of how I'm going to die. Like, if I'm dying, something extravagant is happening at that moment. I'm not worried for anything that involves me. I'm worried more for the rest of the party, how they're going to react to it. There doesn't have to be casualties, but there probably will be, because we got some squishy people.
Kevin, I feel, has been a projection of my own personality. It would be easy to say that he's a self-insert, but that really isn't the case, because I feel like he's sort of grown organically.
But on the character side, I love that Kevin has become this like extremely traumatized character. Like everybody he loves dies in pretty brutal ways, and all of his friends are insane criminals. Like pretty much all of them, except maybe Nuria. Like he just got mixed up in all of the wrong parties. Like he's just coming along for the ride.
These past few weeks, I've felt more invested in the character these past few weeks than I have the whole campaign. I'm really hoping he gets his happy ending, so to speak.
At first, I didn't really know what to expect of the campaign, especially because I'd never done any sort of tabletop before, and I didn't know anything about Resident Evil. So I didn't know what to expect, so I made a generic character who was originally based on a character I already had and a little bit of me. I didn't expect her to come back. When I heard guest appearance, I only expected to be in for a few episodes and then that was it. So I didn't really plan for a future for her. And for a while, I was coming up with ideas and she kind of turned into this weird jumbled mess, but I think I made it work. And as it continued, she became a lot more like me, unintentionally. And I think that was just a way for me to play her since I didn't plan her. But I like how she turned out. I really do.
Katara was quite the character in the making. On one end, how can we take something we build and didn't necessarily expect to come out the way we didn't want it to, and use that as a means to build the character newly and go with the flow? I think I've talked about it before, where I wanted Katara to be more charismatic. I had to figure out a way to really build upon how I could change her up and still make her interesting as a character into to the story and then to everybody else. So it was a good experiment. And then now, just kind of looking at it, I don't know, man. I just love this character. It's a character type that I sort of put myself into, or at least a person that I kind of wanted to be at one point that I'm not. It's kind of how she presents herself. It's kind of how I wish in life I could have presented myself, because she's very much nonchalant. I don't want to say pompous, but can be. That kind of goes with just kind of the wealth that's at her back, that confidence that she holds. It's a lot of stuff that just kind of bringing that out in the character, that flair, means a bit to me, because like I said, it's kind of what I wish I was growing up.
He is me. He does and says and reacts to things the way that I do, just with a more exaggerated feel to it. And I think that's the thing about my characters, is they all are extension of me. They're an extension of everybody. I don't have social anxiety in the slightest, but I can feel a disconnect from reality and connecting back to Chauncey, and then just feeling free about it. It's a different kind of feeling. He's a big ball of excitement, and he gives me something to look forward to every week, but at the same time I have a lot of other things I have to look forward to, and it's gonna be nice to take that break and everybody take the break and not feel like I'm leaving anybody behind.
Mr. G has meant a lot to me. He represents a side of my psychology that I don't normally get to discuss, but obviously dialed up to 11. Yeah, I've got to explore some stuff with him that I don't normally get to talk about. So obviously, there's a lot of stuff with his psychopathy, where there's a lot of parallels between how he thinks and how I think, but with just a different source, let's say. But a lot of threads going through there that I have woven into him on a very personal level.
Enya is such a strange case, because by the law of characters that I play, I shouldn't be enjoying playing her. I hate playing asshole characters, I hate playing evil characters, I'm really bad at playing those kinds of characters, and while Enya isn't necessarily evil, There were times when I'd say something like to insult the party, and then I'd feel really bad, and I was so nervous, but like the more it happened and seeing the party enjoying her, I just enjoyed her even more. And then when she died, I'd never been a part of something that had such an intense story. And it was so good. At that moment I was like, wait, no, I don't want to stop playing her. No! And then she came back, and that was even better. I'm not saying that I don't like Neria. I love Neria too, but I always look forward to playing Enyo.
Because I always go back to the beginning where I was like, the party was nothing but cannon fodder for her. But then, you know, they were actually like thrown into the fray of like an actual threat. It started becoming very much, they're cannon fodder, but I need these people because I can't get through this myself. But then her consciousness started kicking in once she started seeing just how bad Umbrella was affecting people. Especially the whole thing with, you know, Jack Carmine. Huge turning point for her, and then it just continued from there. And then I like these people too, they're family.
He was a messy build, but like, that's me. I'm messy. He's helped me grow as an RP character, because now, like, I've done no tabletop games, but I've branched into like the GTA RP and stuff, and like I have people still begging me on Discord, please come back. At the end of the day, I'm no expert, but I do feel like I've grown a lot since I've started him. Like, at first I was all about the conflict and the battles. I'm strategy all the way. My character, like the backstory, like I look back now and I look at these like measly paragraph of a backstory and I'm like, geez, man, I could have filled this with so much detail. I've mentally thought of what I would have added to his backstory and changed about his backstory and did things like that, and that's going to lead me forward if, say, I do get into another long campaign with a start from the bottom and rise up to the top kind of character, which it may be years from now, but I do see myself doing it again. But like, yeah, Chauncey's gonna hold that spot for me for a good long time, because there's just so much investment into it. There was the investment of like you taking your time for writing the story and letting me play in your world, and like Lauren for playing along with me, and Troy playing along with me, and Ilo and Lisa at the time, and Mel, all these people playing with me to help me build that up. If it wasn't for them, I'd have just been playing a game, you know, and if it wasn't for you, I would have just been playing Minecraft at this point, you know. Like, there's a lot to be thankful for, and it's not just Chauncey. It's gonna be a little sour, but like, again, it's not the end, you know. Even if Chauncey was to die, I could roll out a new character if I really want to play again, you know. I still have PGP. I have the rest of the trio I can mess with. Like, I could do something new. I could try Caster, because I've never tried Caster before. See where I actually fill in the best. It's just the fact that Chauncey hasn't died. Therefore, I can't get rid of him. Not that I want rid of him, but man, when I built PGP, if I'd have kept PGP over Chauncey right now, oh, Walker would be in for a fight. he was well built compared to Chauncey's messiness.
Well, it's funny because I never envisioned her being a full-blown villain, so I just made her chaotic neutral, because I was like, she's just a person that just does this for her own, you know, for her own reasoning. If the party's gonna go through and help her, if she can get this stuff and get what she needs, cool. And then if they die in the process, oh well, they still helped her. Originally I was gonna go for a character like that. It's what she was gonna start with, but yeah, no, just that natural progression. She has come a very long way to this moment, fighting somebody who shares the same ideals as her, just in a different angle of how to approach it. As you know, as stated before, Professor Xavier and Magneto.
So, needless to say, this campaign has been very special to me. And from what I understand, for my first time GMing a campaign, to turn out so incredibly well is a very rare and special thing, and I very much treasure that. at the very least because it's my first. But, now as we approach the end and looking back on these past 3 years, which is crazy to think that it's been that long, I think the thing that I treasure most, as cliche as it might sound, is the friends we made along the way, These are hands down the closest friends I've ever had, and hopefully friends that I get to keep for the rest of my life.
Well, the campaign has meant a lot to me, like a lot. Like, it has helped me grow as an artist, first of all, doing all the weekly thumbnails and doing all the intros and all this other stuff. Like, it's really forced me to learn new skills and really develop my creative pipeline. There's a lot of stuff that I've done for this show that I wouldn't otherwise have tried, or if I would have tried, would have just been dabbling. And it's forced me to do it consistently, and it's forcing me to practice. And that's the most important thing for an artist, is to be able to have something that you can do consistently. And then obviously there's a fact that I have a set amount of time every week to spend with all my friends, and that's the most important part to me. It's having that time dedicated to, like, community.
This campaign has been a means to make quite a few friends, and it's been a way for me to express myself. I think the friends, I'm emphasizing this here, the friends made here, in my opinion, are what has really made the project worth it to me. And I really like tabletop, so I don't get to do this often, so this was a real treat. And it has led to some habitual changes in my day-to-day life as well. I mean, I've gotten the confidence to start streaming, for instance, and it's helped me think more creatively as well.
For my first ever tabletop, first ever campaign, like, wow. I didn't think, I know this isn't D&D technically, but I didn't think I'd like D&D. I love role-playing, but like, creating a character, going through like this entire adventure, and like, combat and stuff, like, that sounded really intimidating. That's a lot of notes to keep track of, and I'm not very good at notes taking. That's so much information. But like, once you're in it, it's weird. You just get really immersed, and it's just, time flies, and it's so much fun.
I've had a lot of fun with this campaign. I'm sure, definitely, like, there were definitely some ups and downs in certain episodes. I think my mind took the situation and went, oh no, it's over. I don't like it. But no, like I said, I've had a lot of fun. You've been an amazing GM. Your storytelling just keeps me coming back for more. I'd love to be a part of whatever you end up creating, because again, amazing talent, amazing person, and I've had a lot of fun. One of the few groups I can say where like I feel pretty close to everyone. Just love it. Love everybody here.
The campaign itself has had so many ups and downs, and as a newer GM, I definitely feel like I made some mistakes along the way, and I definitely feel like there are a lot of things I would have done differently if we were to start it again today. But in the end, I wouldn't trade these friends that we've been able to make through this experience for anything. Among all the incredible story beats, all the incredible emotional narrative moments that we were able to craft together, and those are all awesome things, but definitely the friendships that we've been able to forge are hands down the biggest thing that I would take away from this.
I think one of my greatest highlights for this campaign was when Kevin and Ilo managed to free Aiden from Walker's control. That was a huge highlight in my mind. That was great. I loved it.
Well, in terms of specific events, there are way too many to mention. There's some pretty good ones, like Chauncey jumping off a roof several times. Katara and Nuria's domestic life has been killing me lately. And then there's Chauncey, the Vor King. I didn't expect that to happen. Well, I mean, I kind of expected that to happen. You kind of saw it coming. But the Vor King, that was hilarious. That's basically everything Chauncey's been doing. Dan eating and riding big monsters. I guess that's his thing.
The story. the story of Resident Roleplay, it's amazing. Like, I can tell you put so much effort into it, and like, it's so good. It's, I can't compliment it enough.
And of course, like with everybody else, I think we've all kind of fallen in love with these characters over these years. It'll be interesting to see how this final battle turns out. Obviously, Walker is a character I myself have invested a lot in as a villain and as a overarching bad guy that I've built up over this long period of time. And he himself, you know, his background, his arc, his story has a special place for me as well and means a lot to me in ways that I might not ever talk about. But still, there's a lot at stake in this final battle. And come whatever may, I hope we can reach an ending that is as incredible and as powerful as the journey it took to get there. And of course, the party, the player characters, they've done a lot of prep, they've gathered a lot of intel, they've gathered a lot of gear, and they know their enemy pretty well. The way I see it, yeah, they definitely have what it takes. They have all the necessary ingredients to come out of this battle victorious. But we'll see what it takes to get to that end, and we'll let the dice fall where they may. As a GM who is also quite fond of these characters, I don't want it to end in tragedy by any means, but it'll just be about playing their cards right, good strategy, good tactics, using everything at their disposal, and, of course, the rolls. There's always the rolls.
I'd like to say that there's no full-on highlight for me. I've enjoyed every bit of it. Like, every episode, I'm like, this is the moment. This is the thing that I like. You know, reason why I'm here. And it's not one episode. It's not one thing that happened. It's every single week. I'm like, man, this is awesome. Man, this is something I can do. Final thoughts is like, the whole thing's been a highlight. The growth, the thrill, the enjoyment going into this final battle. I want to see us all have a good time no matter what happens. Even if somebody dies real quick or we wreck Walker, I want everybody to have a good time. I don't want anybody to come out of this, man, we should have done this different or that different, it's all your fault, or I don't want to see any of that. I don't think we will, but I don't want to see anybody like sour because they lost their character that they've played for 3 years, you know, or built up over the last few years. But yeah, there's always going to be something better around the corner. Tomorrow's just going to be a bigger, brighter day. So the highlight is everything. Everything's going good, going great. Let's wreck Walker and call it a day.
I think it was all worthwhile, and I for one have learned a lot as a storyteller and as a game master, and I think all of these experiences are things that I'll be able to take with me into the future. And I really feel like all of us have grown as not only players but individuals, as people over the course of this show. I mean, it's been 3 years. There's definitely been a lot of personal and a lot of artistic growth over that time, and we're definitely not in the same place now as when we started. So again, it'll be bittersweet to see it come to its end, but I just hope the ending is a worthwhile and satisfying one for this big, intense, and heartfelt journey that we've taken. But it'll be sad to see this road come to its close. But it's been a long time coming, and again, hopefully we could just make this ending satisfying. That's my hope.